Boy, am I glad I did not watch this movie with my brother and my father, because sitting through those sex scenes would have been awkward. So Oppenheimer is a brand new film directed by the GOAT himself, Christopher Nolan. The film stars a gigantic cast, some of whom which I didn't even know was in the movie, but the main cast consists of Cillian Murphy, Robert Downey Jr., Emily Blunt, Florence Pugh, and Matt Damon. So the film is about J. Robert Oppenheimer, who has been recruited to work on the top secret Manhattan Project, along with a team of scientists and physicists who spent years of developing and designing the atomic bomb. If there is one actor who has the capability of conveying strong emotions through eye contact while also staring deeply into your soul, it is Cillian Murphy. Every time he is on screen, you are just so locked into his next move, and you see how he can get an entire room to look his way with just his presence alone. Cillian Murphy's performance was staggering, and honestly, I think this is one of the best roles of his entire career. He plays this confident, charming, and intellectual man who fears the consequences of what this kind of power can lead to in the future. When it comes to playing a man who was heavily involved with the creation of the first ever atomic bomb and seeing the consequences that came afterwards, along with how it impacted himself, I think Cillian Murphy did a phenomenal job at just displaying this feeling of guilt, despair, and even hopelessness, while also trying to maintain a strong composure in the public eye. So, for example, there is a scene where he is giving a speech to a local town after the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and Cillian's body language and actions highly illustrate how J. Robert Oppenheimer's world has just been crumbling right before his eyes. And you see that he feels that he is responsible for the deaths in both cities and that their blood is on his hands. If you ask me, I see an Oscar nomination incoming. The supporting cast was remarkable. Everyone managed to stand out, and Nolan allowed the actors and the actresses to have their moments when the timing was right, and their performances were just stargazing. Matt Damon, Emily Blunt, Alden Ehrenreich, they were all just incredible. But if there was anyone in the supporting cast that really stood out the most, it was Robert Downey Jr. I won't lie, when he first popped up on screen, all I saw was Tony Stark. Look, man, he has been playing the same character for the past decade. I grew up watching this man on the big screen. So yes, I was one of those people that was like, oh my god, look, it's Tony Stark, there he goes. But I digress. But as far as his performance, I thought he was magnetic. So he plays Lewis Strauss, who was an American businessman and a naval officer who served, I believe, 2 terms on the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission. But RDJ just did an excellent job at displaying this conflict and anger he has against Oppenheimer. Matter of fact, there is even a scene where he gives a monologue, and not only is that scene one of the best moments in the entire movie, but it once again proves why Robert Downey Jr. is such a versatile and talented actor. I actually really love the story here. So the movie focuses on J. Robert Oppenheimer from the moment he's recruited into the Manhattan Project, to his contributions to the creation of the first ever atomic bomb, to how politicians legitimately tried to screw him over after the events of World War II. I will say, I am glad that Christopher Nolan decided to dig deeper into Oppenheimer's life after the events of World War II, because I had no idea that politicians tried to accuse him of being a communist spy just for his political viewpoints, which is wild given how this man is a huge part of the reason why Japan even surrendered during the war. And I love how the movie goes into detail as far as how Oppenheimer and the other physicists did the math and tested the impact explosion. I thought those were really neat aspects to include in here. The cinematography in this film is gorgeous. Everything from the characters riding horses through the open landscape, to the crowd surrounding Oppenheimer and cheering him on, to just the camera zooming in on his face as he processes what has just occurred and what's to occur. You can tell which scenes were filmed with IMAX cameras, and those IMAX scenes were just stellar to gaze your eyes upon. I wanted to see the movie in 70mm IMAX, but we don't have that in Illinois. It's either one or the other. I will say, watching that bomb scene in IMAX was an incredible experience. The details of the explosion and its massive size and its bright flames just illuminated the theater, and it was remarkable. And then you have the bass booming sound wave that came afterwards. This that cinema for real. I loved it, and I think that those that came just for the bomb scene will admire the craftsmanship that went into this explosion by making it as realistic and as accurate as possible. You know, without blowing the entire cast into smithereens, of course. Also, the tension leading up to the bomb sequence gave me so much anxiety. Because look, you know what's going to happen, but you can feel the tension floating in that room, and that was just one of the best moments in the entire movie. The sound editing and the sound mixing really complement the bomb scene, and it puts us inside of Oppenheimer's head and allows us to hear what he hears in his mind. I also enjoyed the soundtrack here. Not my favorite out of Christopher Nolan's catalog, but still, a pretty solid addition. Shout out Ludwig Göransson. I actually don't have too many cons here, except for two. And the first one is unnecessary sex scenes. So, spoiler alert for all you horny bastards out there, yes, there are 2 sex scenes in this movie. Now, I've always thought that sex scenes were irrelevant because they serve no real main purpose to the plot. I'm not saying that I'm against it, but it's just like, why? You know, like what did that do for the movie? That's all I'm going to say for that. For the second con, which is not really a con, it's kind of more of a nitpick, and that is the runtime. Within the first 2 hours of the movie, I had no problem at all with the runtime. But when we got to that third hour, I started to feel it, and that's where I really felt the movie slowing down. You may or may not have felt the same way as I did, but for me, when we got to that third hour, yeah, that's where I really felt it. Guys, in the end, Oppenheimer is a feat and a true spectacle of powerful filmmaking. I truly believe that this is one of Christopher Nolan's most ambitious and one of his most prominent films to date. Yes, it is a slow burn movie, but I think the strong narrative and the practicality of the bomb explosion really helped elevate the message of this movie. So, plugging Oppenheimer into the rank system, I am placing this one into the pinnacle zone. But yeah, that is pretty much my review for Oppenheimer. Let me know down in the comments section below what you guys thought about Oppenheimer. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What's your favorite Christopher Nolan film? Whatever you thought, let me know down in the comments section below. And as always, guys, leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you all in the next one.
After working up the nerve, almost equal in size, I walked around with the iron for any wrinkle in time. I paid a piece of my mind for every nickel and dime, but never less than a 5 and never slept on a job. A killer crept on your squad, yet never left the garage, where your God was close enough to see the flesh of his eyes. Get to the button and press, it's what the message advised. What's the threat behind the message?